In late March, telecom giant AT&T announced a $39 billion merger with the nation's number 4 telecom, T-Mobile. T-Mobile only has a small customer presence in Arkansas, about 1% of the market share. But there is significantly more at stake with this buyout for Arkansans. I caught up with AT&T Arkansas President Ed Drilling to explore just how you might be affected. All right, Ed, before we get to this AT&T T-Mobile deal, let's talk about what's trending in the telecommunications industry and the rapid rise of smartphones that we've seen. What are you guys seeing in terms of the data traffic that this explosion has had on the AT&T network here in Arkansas?
Well, it's really incredible, Roby. You know, it's I think kind of hard for a lot of people to put this into the context that 4 years ago, you know, is when the first iPhone was introduced, and before that, we certainly had a lot of smartphone activity, but not anything like what has been driven by the new generation of smartphones that have come along in the last 4 years. You know, the first app was really available for the consumer just 3 years ago. So what we've seen in that period of time on our mobile data network is an 8,000% growth in mobile data. So it's, you know, we've built a lot of towers. We're backhauling that traffic with fiber from the towers, but it's just an extraordinary explosion of mobile data driven by all these smartphone devices. And you know, the good news, I guess, from our standpoint is we expect that exponential growth to continue at the same rate. I mean, we're expecting over the next 4 years another 8 times growth from what we've seen in the last 4 years. So some of that's going to be driven by just more and more people that have smartphones. About 46% of our customers now have them. More and more are going to get them. But it's also going to be driven by more people having tablets or tablet-like devices that they carry around that operate off the mobile data network, and a number of just thousands of new devices that are going to be coming out that we call emerging devices that are not necessarily phones, but they're devices that will work on a mobile data network that really will have the potential of revolutionizing healthcare, home monitoring types of services, you know, business-to-business types of applications, inventory management, just agriculture. I mean, there are just going to be numerous devices that are going to work off of a mobile data network that's going to continue to drive this growth over the next 4 years.
All right, so you guys have been experiencing an 8,000% increase in traffic, and you're expecting 8 times more traffic in the next few years. What if it's 16 times the traffic? Are you guys going to be able to keep up?
It's a chore, you know. It is a chore, and it's a challenge. And, you know, it could very well be. I mean, because who would have expected 4 years ago for us to see, we anticipated some of it, but I don't know that anybody would have expected an 8,000% growth. And, you know, you think about that and you put it in the context of what if you had 8,000% growth at the airport, or, you know, in the traffic, you know, in the freeway system or something like that. So it's a challenge, but you know, the biggest part of this, and where I know we want to visit about, is you know, the network. For instance, in Arkansas, we've spent $500 million in the last 3 years upgrading our network, both wireless and wireline. Our company nationwide in a year spends about $19 billion upgrading our network and making capital investment in our infrastructure. But a big part of this is the spectrum needed to handle this kind of traffic. And to a lot of people, you know, the idea or the notion of spectrum is just air. You know, it's just airwaves. But it's a scarce commodity in our industry, and a lot of it is in the hands of companies that are probably not going to take advantage of it and utilize it in the right way. You know, our plans for the next 4 years. We're finishing up our 3G deployment across the country in Arkansas this year, but you know, what we're going to be doing over the next 4 years is upgrading to 4G, or LTE as it's commonly referred to, which, you know, can give you mobile data speeds significantly faster than what you get now. A lot better coverage, a lot better security, and a lot better experience for our consumers as well. So we're going to be upgrading going forward. Doing that in the next 4 years, but we need more spectrum to do it, and that's what this T-Mobile merger is all about.
Let's talk about the $39 billion deal. Explain kind of in more detail about the hardware, the network that's going to carry this data traffic explosion. What are some of the benefits of the T-Mobile deal here in Arkansas in terms of that part of the network for you guys?
Well, I mean, and this is common, and this is an issue in all the states that we serve. But in Arkansas, we need more spectrum too. You know, we've struggled actually in some areas in the eastern and northern part of the state when we're deploying 3G. We're actually leasing spectrum right now in order to do that because we don't own enough 3G of the caliber for 3G in the frequency for 3G in northern and eastern Arkansas. But we're deploying 3G with that lease spectrum now. But what it means in the state going forward is that T-Mobile in Arkansas, you know, it's a good company, but they don't have a very large market share at all in Arkansas. But what they do have is a huge swath of spectrum that we would use for 4G in all 75 counties. So if you look at the map of what our build would look like over the next 4 years, if we were able to, this merger is completed and we're able to hold on to that spectrum, it's just incredible. It'll be pretty much blanket the whole state from our standpoint with 4G coverage. So, you know, the implications for our customers are significant for economic development. It's significant for innovation in healthcare with mobile devices, education. You know, the agricultural business is going to be heavily reliant on this, and this gives us enough spectrum and enough wherewithal to build that in a lot of rural parts of the state. I mean, extremely rural parts of the state. So there's a lot of benefits for the state from an economic development standpoint, and benefit to our consumers who tell us they want, you know, faster coverage, better coverage, and more reliable coverage as well.
This 4G spectrum, this LTE spectrum you're talking about, say the T-Mobile merger takes 12, 15 months to close successfully. How quickly do you anticipate Arkansans being able to see the complete build out of all that?
Well, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, we're building or completing our 3G build this year in Arkansas. Most of the larger towns are covered, and we're going to be converting all of our towers to that technology by the end of the year. In addition to that, we're making enhancements to that 3G network that will increase the speeds by definition, in some cases, what some people would refer to as 4G, and in certain locations, just by the enhancements that we're making to the 3G network. But when we start building this next generation, we'll start next year in that regard. And whether the T-Mobile deal goes through or not, we will start building it. It's just that it will be such a much more extensive 4G network when completed over the next 4 years if we have that additional spectrum to use.
The $39 billion merger is obviously going to receive a lot of regulatory scrutiny, and there are already some complaints from consumer groups and competitors who say that it consolidates too much power in AT&T, and Verizon's going to have a big market share too. Are those issues valid, and could we see a duopoly with you guys and Verizon?
Well, I mean, I've listened to the concerns, and certainly all of the folks in our company have. You know, we still have 5-6 competitors in every market that we serve, and it's highly competitive. Certainly, you know, we compete with Verizon in every market that we're in, and they're a good competitor, and they're a strong company. But you know, we have other competitors in every market that we serve as well. So it's still going to be competitive. I think there are going to be plenty of choices for customers out there in all the markets that we serve. But what I think more importantly from a consumer standpoint, what they continue to tell us is they want coverage everywhere, they want higher speeds, they want a reliable network, and those are the benefits that I think for consumers that outweigh any of the naysayers and people that think this is going to reduce competition. There's going to be plenty of competition out there.